It's water time, it's summertime. We're at the splash pad at Prescott Park, and as you can see, there's water in the swimming pool. It's closed right now, but it opens June 9th. And on the show, we'll get an update about a lot of things going on around the city. Take you to WRCO now to hear from Mayor Todd Coppernoll about what's new around Richland Center.
Welcome to our morning show studios today. On a Monday, we begin a full, big, busy week here of morning shows, including some FFA students coming up a little bit later on this week, and also Senator Sarah Kieski will be in the studio with us later this week. We'll talk about the Richland County Dairy Breakfast on Wednesday of this week. But in the studio with us today is Mayor Todd Coppernoll from the city of Richland Center. How are things going, Todd?
Going great, Phil. Good morning. Another month gone and another month ahead of us. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It seems like you were just here. So
it does. It absolutely does. We're now into my favorite month of the year. I love the weather in June here, and just sort of beginning of summer and the feelings that brings, and everybody's back outside, right? And you see all the opportunities to get out and have fun. The farmers market is back up and running. Kayaking's back on the Pine River. The aquatic center will open in just a few days, and these signs of summer. And I see the people out enjoying what we have in town, and it always makes me feel good.
I always like the fact that we have so much more daylight too, this time of year.
Yeah, I don't.
Don't you?
No. I don't do well with the setting the clock back thing. I like this daylight. If they ever do make one or the other permanent, I vote for more light later, so that there are things to do outside after work. That's a big deal to me, and I love that when you go outside at 8:45 and it's not fully dark yet, and I smile and go, wow, see me in November.
Another graduating class from Richland Center High School, Ithaca High School, graduated over the weekend as well.
Yeah, congrats to all the kids who graduated in all of our area schools. Congrats to their families, and thank you so much to the staff and faculty at each one. A lot of work goes into that. My mom was an elementary school teacher at Riverdale, and she still hears from the kids she taught, has held some of their babies, has attended some of their weddings and all of that stuff. It really is a bond, and sets up, these kids are set up for their future by what they learn in our schools. So congrats to everybody. I saw quite a few parties going on. You could see the different venues full of people, and the banners out. So congrats to everybody involved.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about some of the things involving the city for summer. Obviously, you mentioned briefly, but the rodeo's coming up in a short amount of time.
Yeah, we're right on top of that. Big deal every year. Get out and watch them. These are terrific young athletes, and they work so hard. And to do this, and you're getting the best in the state right here in our city, that's a big deal. And I love to go out and watch and meet some of the families, because it isn't just the kid that's competing. The parents are so heavily involved, the families. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a big commitment to be part of that sport and participate. And it's fun to watch. I mean, it's an exciting event, but you just see the passion and the commitment. It's kind of a lifestyle event for these people. They're not just out there riding horses. They're into this, they live it. And when you give them a minute of your time, meet the family, meet the young person, and you'll come away impressed. Because to do this at that level and reach, state finals level, you have to have something on the ball. You have to put a bunch of work in, or you wouldn't just get there. And when you meet these people, you get it. These are young people, that really put passion and energy into that event. And then the families do too, as I said. So I encourage everybody to attend that out at the fairgrounds.
It does a lot for commerce in the city of Richland Center. I think we kind of forget that, but it brings a lot of people to town, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. A lot of people in the hotels and the restaurants and so forth in town. It's a good event for a lot of our local businesses, no doubt, and I like to support that. But the main reason to support that is the young people involved, and they're worth it. They earn it.
What's the spotlight in Richland Center with the rodeo parade on that Saturday as well?
Yeah, we have the parade coming up, and then we're on to event season really that'll run through the fall now, because then not too late after that, at the end of the month, we'll have Thunderfest with our fireworks and the live music down there and everything that goes with that. It's always a great time too, and just the simple things that people don't think about maybe if you live here and you just drive past them every day. I see families out enjoying our story walk in the park. I see families out playing disc golf here in the city. Things like that we have. There's some fun amenities and nice additions we've had to the town. And it's just great to see people just enjoying our community. It's a beautiful place to live, and I love it when I see people out enjoying what we've got.
Thunderfest will culminate with the fireworks on, I believe it's the 28th.
That's right. Yep, and it's all set. Months ago, the city council approved the expenditure, of course, for the fireworks, and the pyrotechnicians have been in touch. They're looking forward to it. They always do. It should be a great night, always is, and I encourage everybody to enjoy that too. That's a long-running tradition here in town. I remember going to the fireworks at Crosscut Park with my parents. I was probably 5 years old the first time I remember it, and we're still doing that, and I love that. I really do. I love that. It's a great family event right here in town.
I remember being at Crosscut Park and they were shooting them off right in Crosscut Park.
Right in the park.
It's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different. They were shooting them off right in the park, and then I remember Officer Jack Bauer, retired Richland Center police officer, checking the kids for firecrackers.
Oh.
With his flashlight, and always found some.
I bet.
Always found some, and just took them. He didn't make a big show of it. He just took them. The kids made a big show of it. When the police officer left with their firecrackers, but hey, they were illegal, guys. That's funny. Jack and I grew up in the same neighborhood where Jack still lives, and those kind of things. I ran into Jack at the senior center a couple years ago, and we hadn't seen each other in decades. And he introduced himself, and I started sharing stories from my youth, some of the stuff my friends did in high school, and it's amazing his recall, how many names he had immediately of the kids that he was involved with back in the day.
Yeah, you made an impression. So.
Well, luckily it wasn't me, but he remembered a lot of my classmates very easily.
Well, what's going on construction-wise or anything like that you can shed a light on, Todd?
Yeah, so the agreement, the revised, improved agreement that exists between the city and the developer of Panorama Estates states that they will break ground no later than June 15th, which is obviously right around the corner. I have been in touch with the builder. They're telling me they still believe they will hit that. I know there was some concern when there was some excavating equipment up there that moved off the site, and some people were concerned. I spoke to Mr. Kleinsasser about that. He got his first phone call asking why it was leaving before it was even on the trailer. So I said to him, if that's all you need to know about where this community is on this project, everybody's watching and everybody's expecting, and that's the way it is. We are expecting because it's what the agreement calls for. So that's the anticipation is that mid-month they'll break ground up there, and again that's 2 buildings, 92 total apartments, 46 in each building, and the idea is they'll get the foundation done in one building and then begin the foundation on the second one. So it'll be a little bit staggered, but actually it was at the builder's insistence that both buildings come at the same time, which is one of the significant improvements on the city's side of things. And that's because the last building wasn't due for 6 or 7 more years after this year, according to the original agreement. And in this case now, we'll get them both in one hit. So we'll have the third building done several years before it would have been done. And that's a great win for the city. Looking forward to it.
As in terms of construction, things don't always move that quickly, but I mean, probably you can have people moving in by, what, another year and a half or so?
Yeah, let's call it a year and a half. Sooner is better, but let's just call it a year and a half to play it safe. And of course, you never know. So for instance, right now, transformers, if you need a transformer, it's more than a year to get one, okay? More than a year to get one, just backlog. Ask anybody that works in construction on any level how things are, and they'll tell you. You watch the news and you see a big fire out west, or wherever they've been all over the place, Long Island, North Carolina, South Carolina, or you see another tropical storm that hits Florida or the Gulf Coast or North Carolina, or you see a tornado that hits another town in Kentucky, look at the destruction. Look at how many buildings have been lost, both residential and commercial. Look at it. It's not little. So that has held, in addition to a fairly robust construction market, that has held the supply of building materials pretty tight. So trying to get some of the things you need. The folks at Coppernoll, I've met the gentleman who manages their plant in Portage, and he told me that they can't produce glass as fast as they could sell it right now. Literally can't make it as fast as they could sell it right now. So yeah, you can run into delays that you never foresaw. And I don't know, several people have asked me what I thought this tariff debate discussion will do to various construction projects, and the truth is I don't know. And how could anybody know, because it's been such a moving target. Now it's a tariff, now it's not, now it's this much, but it isn't. And so what that's done, I'm sure, could just cause anxiety in the building community too, because they're trying to plan their year and what's it going to cost and when. So do you pre-order the materials to avoid a tariff? If you do that, you're going to create new inflation. Supply and demand always wins, always wins. And if there's a run on simple things, so think about 92 apartments. So you think about the big stuff, steel, concrete, stuff like that. But that's 92 shower heads. That's 92 doorknobs isn't even right, because it's 92 doorknobs for the front door, but there's a bathroom door and a bedroom door. Okay, faucets, right? So you need a lot of little things to build, way more than people typically think about if you're not in that field. And I've had that conversation with the builder on this one, and all of them, they've been trying to pre-order what they could, because they don't know what to expect. You see a 50% tariff coming on steel and aluminum. Oh, okay, what does that mean to construction? Don't know yet, but it certainly has their attention. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good to hear that, Cardinal's doing well, but I've heard some industries can be affected because there are some parts that they can't get to manufacture as well.
Well, for sure, and that's exactly what we're talking about. When we've had the whole country, there's just been a lot of construction for new growth, and just certainly to replace what's been lost, and there's just been a lot of it. Look what happened in Los Angeles. Look what happened in Georgia and the Carolinas. Long Island, those small towns in the Midwest, they get hit by a tornado. You got to rebuild. People got to have a place to live. And if they lost their business, they're going to want to hopefully rebuild that. Well, look at how many materials that takes. How many windows and how many shingles and how many everything else is. How much concrete, how much steel, how much lumber, all of that's consuming just to replace what's lost before you worry about adding. And there's been significant construction to add new things. So yeah, it's been a wild time. We all know what inflation's done to every household. It's done it to every company too. And it's done it to every municipality as well, which is, I've said this on the air before, but that's what causes the referendum parade, which at this point I just simply do not see an end to. I really don't, with how cities, counties, townships, school districts are allowed to fund themselves under state law. You can't expect. We've had inflation unseen in 40 years. I was middle school, high school, so were you. The last time we had inflation like we've had in the last 4 years or so. You can't expect a tax base in places like Richland Center, Boscobel, Prairie du Chien to keep up with that. It's not that sort of growth in a rural area. You want to talk, can we add 5 Walmarts a year, do you think? Do you? That's what it's going to take just to get to even in some of this, and that's at the city level, the county level. It's just that kind of construction. We're not Madison, we're not La Crosse. That's not going to change tomorrow. So we stay diligent all the time to get the growth we can, and we've had some. You look around, we've had some. We need more, and we'll keep working to get it. We'll always keep working to get it. But you have to remember, it's the people, it's all of us that are paying the bills for the city, the county, and the schools. It's our money. Okay, well, what happened at home when, the price of everything you buy shot up as much as it did? You had to make adjustments with your home budget. You had no choice. Well, same at the city, same at the county, same at the schools, same at the townships, and around we go. And just that all just, when you look at private sector, same thing. You know, it's time to expand our building. It's time to repave the parking lot. It's time to add staff. Well, yeah. But before you do, you have to account for what it costs to just do the things you always did. You know, and that's just the way it is in the cycle that we're in right now. The good news is that there are builders interested in building a Richland Center, and we just talked about Panorama. We've talked a lot about what we're calling the Lamont subdivision up above Rainbow Drive, and that project continues to progress. It's being handled by some engineers right now working on a water runoff plan. It's a significant part of that because it is on a hill. And yeah, there are houses down below, so probably a good idea to know where the storm water will go before you put more houses up there. There will need to be a street because there isn't one, and that's all being engineered, and all of that takes time. It takes a lot more time than I wish it did. Obviously, I wish I could just be here today telling you what day the first house would begin. I can't tell you that yet. I can tell you we have a building team. We have an ownership group on that project that is amazing, and they've been wonderful to work with, and they're fully committed to seeing it through. So what do I think? I think we're going to get 92 new apartments and 20 or so new houses as soon as they can be done. We'll see, but that's what I think, you know, after working with the builders in both projects for a long time now. And that's significant. When's the last time 112 new homes came to Richland Center? It's, yeah.
1900?
Yeah, right. 112 new homes, not just you can live there, brand new everything's. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple other builders that want to do one house, one duplex kind of projects too, that I believe will happen over the next couple of years. So a few more new homes on top of that. The trickier part has been the commercial opportunities. We've had some. There are some significant chains with interest in Richland Center, which is a wonderful improvement from where we once were. The challenge there is available land. Okay, let's just get it out there. That's been the holdup. You know, whether it's trying to get a lease with someone who owns an existing building and feeling as though they had difficulty getting that done, or whether it's trying to acquire land they want to build on and feeling as though they had difficulty getting that done. That is the hurdle in when it comes to commercial right now in Richland Center, and the reason for that is commercial builders want to be on the highway. Okay, that's what they want. In fact, it's what they insist on, and they want the highest traffic count they can hit, and the highest traffic count they can hit is essentially the Walmart area down to Dragon Buffet, that stretch of Highway 14 East, because look where so many businesses went. It's a natural way in and out of town and a way across town for people who live here, but it's also where so many other businesses went. So when you look down there, the traffic count at Walsh's Ace Hardware and Dragon Buffet is more than twice as much as it is at the corner of Orange and 6th Street by the park. More than twice as much. Now, traffic on Orange Street has been increasing, but slowly. Okay, so the Quick Trip going downtown made a big difference. The new one being built where it was did make a big difference. That intersection has had a major growth in traffic from before the Quick Trip was there. And we put, you know, the dialysis center was built with the pharmacy, and the credit union went down there, and Wacker Chiropractic went down there, and so forth. There have been more businesses put in there, and also the first Panorama building made Orange Street a natural way home for 45 apartments. So traffic is improving, and I believe over time, as we get more projects done on the east side of Orange Street down there, of course it will increase traffic again, and perhaps some of that disparity in traffic count will begin to level off. That's what we need to do. And again, you get 92 more apartments that are going to make Orange Street a natural way home for those folks to and from work and just home from wherever they may have gone. That will help Orange Street too. But right now, most of the builders, the brands that have called us and said, you know what, we're taking a look at your city, most of them want to be Highway 14 East. And that is the bottleneck, 100%. 100%. That is the bottleneck trying to get this done.
If money were no object, you know, if you just had land to say, okay, here you go, build here, or...
Well, I mean, I asked Ben from Nova Video to just buy a bunch of real estate down there.
Yeah.
You know, and he hasn't gotten back to me on that. No, it's true. if money were no object. But if money were no object, a new hospital would have already been built too, right?
True.
Now they're working on that. I don't know how much has been shared on the air yet, but they're working on that. That idea has not gone away, and they absolutely are holding on to that real estate for a reason. They intend to build. Now, answer this for yourself. Why can't Richland Center? Why hasn't Richland Center? Why won't Richland Center? Get that out of here. There is no why won't. We will. Why hasn't? Well, I just told you why not. You got to have a place to build that fits. Has the traffic count you want, has the space you need, and is at a price you can afford to buy the land for and build on. All of these variables that are not within the city's control. And believe me, friends and neighbors, you don't want your city to artificially inflate real estate costs by overpaying for land to get something done. I don't mean overpaying by a little bit to say, you know, this is worth it. I mean, what if the city got involved in a project and paid twice as much as land had been worth in the area? Guess what happens to every other deal down the pike? You did that then, so you better do it for me or I'm not coming. And what you just did is you made it impossible to build anything here, because then the price would be not. I mean, ask yourself this. Are you ready to pay $800,000 for a 3-bedroom ranch house with a 2-car garage? Because if you start messing with what it costs to build it beyond what it already costs to build it, that's where you're going to go. $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. Not happening here right now. That is not the real estate market here right now. So yes, you need to know, and they said this publicly, your city council believes in investing in the expansion of, for instance, infrastructure, water, sewer, electric, streets, so that building can be done. Your city council does not believe in artificially inflating real estate prices so that it becomes impossible to build here down the line. That's a key distinction, and everyone here should thank your older persons for thinking that way, because we could end the possibility of growth by breaking the local real estate market. Okay, you can't do that. What the businesses that want to come here, they have to be attracted to, excuse me, to the possibility of profit, right? Imagine that. That's why a business opens, to make money. You know, we want them for the reasons we want them, but nobody opens a business because it makes people happy. They open a business to make money with their business. So they're going to look at our demographics. How many people, what age, average income, all of these things. Competition in the market, traffic counts, future projections of growth, all of this. All of these things. And they'll come back with, you know what? Yeah. And the great news is a few of them have changed what they thought of our town in the last few years. They see some change they like. So they're talking to us, but you have to do things the right way. You have to do things the right way. You do not want the public sector honestly meddling in things the private sector could have and should have gotten done. Because every single time government starts throwing money into projects it might not have needed to be involved in, it ends up hurting the taxpayer in the end. Every time. So, okay, so what does all that mean? I believe some apartments are right around the corner. I believe some houses are absolutely on the horizon. I don't have a timeline really yet. We will as soon as we can. I know there are some retail chains with interest in Richland Center who hadn't had that before. There are also hotel chains with interest in Richland Center that hadn't had that before. We are committed, as the city government is, to exploring opportunities like that and getting things done the best we can, as soon as we can, when we can. We are also committed to not doing foolish things to try to make people happy in the next 10 minutes that would harm the city for the next 50 years.
Mayor Todd Coppernoll, our guest on the morning show. Good time to take a break. We'll come back with more in just a moment after these words. Richland Center Mayor Todd Coppernoll is our guest here on WRCO's morning show, kicking off a Monday. Lots more to talk about here in the next part of our program. And Mayor Todd, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the campus and the reconfiguration and how that's going, from in relationship with the city and the county.
Right. The relationship between the city and the county over the last 5, 6, 7 years has consistently improved and re-evolved, is a better way to say that. And not the city and the county, that's true. Interdepartmental within the city, it's true. I believe interdepartmental within the county, it's true. A lot of effort's been put into sort of updating, modernizing, evolving to take down some walls and to explore opportunities to go, and the school district too, the Richland School District in this case, they're the ones that I've met with, to understand better and respect more the fact that we're a small city and a small county representing the same people. So when you can collaborate and do it, I'll give you one that's on my mind a lot, and I am not suggesting ending one or the other. I'm suggesting shared cost. I think it's crazy in our community in this era with the fiscal challenges small communities face and small counties face. I can sit in the city building, which houses a police department, and look right across the street at another police station. No, maybe once. We can't afford that. I'm not hiding anything. This community going forward can't afford things like that. Think about it. There's 2 police stations across the street from each other. How many cops do you think we have? Not 100. Okay, they could share a space. They probably should. And some resources. The same taxpayers are funding. I mean, look, it's like this. Okay, yeah, if you live in Dayton Township, your taxes aren't paying for the city police. Guess what? Just giving an example. If there's an issue in Boaz, you might get a city cop. Happens all the time. Mm-hmm. If it happens in the city, you might get a county cop. Happens all the time. They work together all the time. Because why? They're in the same place representing the same people. Okay? So why aren't they in one space? For the benefit of the taxpayer, why aren't they in one space? They should be. Why isn't fire and ambulance in one building? It should be. Look at how many communities it is. The answer is most of them. Not here. Why not? It should be. In one space. Shared space, less cost. Makes sense. One roof to maintain. One furnace, heat HVAC system to maintain with tax dollars. Fire and ambulance, one space. City and county police, one space. I'll bet if we kept doing this, if we brought people in from city, county schools, because don't leave schools out. They've been very willing to collaborate, very eager to participate in things like this. But if you keep looking for opportunities, it's simple things. I don't have an example ready at the tip of my tongue. I apologize for that. But for instance, in the past, I'll just give you an easy one. If maybe utilities or the city owned a piece of equipment, did they always work together and say you can use ours or we'll bring it there and do it for you? I'm going to say probably not. Are they now? Yeah. Evolution, planning for the future, being more fiscally responsible. So campus property. I want to share an idea, and there's going to be, I don't know how many of them, to the folks at the county board that really have their hands full with this. It's a huge undertaking with critical importance for the community. Okay, I'm going to give credit where it belongs. Dale Schultz. Anybody ever hear of Dale Schultz? Was an elected official for a long, long time. State senator, a state senate majority leader. He comes to see me a lot in the mayor's office. And one time when he was down there, he said, "Have you looked at Verona in Dane County?" I said, "Yeah, I know Verona." And he said, "Well, people might forget that it isn't very long ago. Verona was much, much smaller than it is now." It's just true. And then they got this place called Epic to come there. And it caused tremendous growth in Verona, which is now, in his words, spilling into Mount Horeb. So the surrounding communities are now benefiting as well from that move. Now that was a big move. That was a very big move. Verona used what's called tax incremental financing to attract Epic. And I just said on this program, what Verona did is they invested in the infrastructure it took to attract Epic, to get it ready, to make it possible. They didn't throw money at it. They invested in what it took to get it with after financial review and all those things. And Epic completely changed the face of Verona forever. And Dale said to me, he said, the campus property, is there an industry we could attract that isn't here right now that might have jobs that pay better than the average job here? And he used Epic as the example. It didn't have to be that field, but as an example of a new industry that hadn't been in a small community being attracted into the community and having just unbelievable impact. Sounds good to me. And I don't know who that is. I'd love to have ideas come to us of who that might be. I mean, there's going to be 100 ideas of what you could use the land for, and that's fine. And when it comes down to it, The county board will have a lot to do to sort out what they want to propose and try to do. And then the city council will too, because that property exists within the city. It's unique. It's owned by the county, but it is within the city, which means, the county's going to want to have final say in what goes on, and in a lot of respects, they're going to have that. But then city zoning, the city land use map, the city's comprehensive plan, all of these things simply must be taken into consideration. That's how it works. And so we're going to see, sooner or later, on that campus property, we will see collaboration between the county board and the city council. There's no way out of it. There shouldn't be either. It's too impactful. When you have that many acres owned by the county within the city, there should be collaboration. And just an idea that came from Dale, what can you attract as an industry that could build out there and bring something we don't have that could have real impact? And I don't have one. It's at the tip of my tongue. I don't have one. I wish I did. But if somebody does or has an opportunity, I would urge them to let me know, let Dave Turk at the county board know, and on down the list. Tell the administrator of the county, the administrator of the city, buy a billboard, tell everybody. Because if you think about impact, think of that. What could Richland Center do that would be along the lines of what I'm looking for is the end result that Verona got from Epic. If we even came anywhere near that, it transformed the community. It brought them things they didn't, they were always, we don't have the money for this, we don't have the money for that. Well, then they did. And it takes years, that doesn't happen overnight. But just a thought, and again, credit to Dale Schultz for saying it to me. And if somebody has an idea, let me know, let us know.
Mm-hmm. That would certainly speed up the process of people wanting to come in here, maybe speed up the process of a grocery store and, the hospital project and all those things.
A lot of things,
Yeah.
a lot of things. It would bring new families that aren't here, for their careers. It would give our young people in all of our local schools the opportunity to stay here for careers that may not really be available here right now. That's what, I wouldn't oppose something that enhanced, an existing industry. But the idea of bringing something we don't have is to broaden the possibilities to keep our own young people home, to be honest. That's where my head is on it.
What's the, we hear all these rumors, from time to time. What's the wackiest one you've ever heard? Because I'm sure they get back to you.
On which topic?
Like maybe the relationship with Walmart to the city and grocery store and those kind of things.
Yeah. People have asked me if it's true that we won't let another grocery store here because Walmart doesn't want one here. That's absolutely ridiculous. That one, I just can't believe somebody would even ask me that, but somebody did. No, we've put tremendous effort into trying to attract another grocer, and I still think it's going to happen. I just don't know how soon. It's been harder than people think. That's the issue. It's harder because Super Value Stores is also a wholesaler, and there was a grocer with significant interest in putting a store here when Mike Kaufman was the mayor, and until their wholesaler, which was Super Value, ran a market study that's really was not positive, and that stopped that project at the time, and that still hangs in the shadows for like an IGA or a Piggly Wiggly style store. That's been the roadblock there. So then you go corporate and try to get a chain, and we may get one, but we're not done yet. And I talked about land availability and the process of making land more available, which we've been working on with some landowners here who have become more cooperative in steps, and I thank them for that, and more open with us in steps, and I thank them for that. But that's where that went. But yeah, that whole, does Walmart have anything to do, at least with the city's involvement with whether or not another grocer would come here? No. Remember something for me, friends. Walmart sued this city while I've been mayor. Sued Richland Center in an attempt to get their property taxes lowered. That wasn't a good time. There's an answer for you.
On the positive side, let's talk about some youngsters. I know you've been having some youngsters learn about city government and county government and those kind of things.
Right, and that ties really well. Thanks, Phil. Thank you to Tiffany WRCO, who's a teacher at Richland Center High School, and for the last few years she's invited me to speak to a class. Andy Troxel's done that too, and Mark Chambers had me go out to Weston which I'll gladly do because those kids might not live in the city, but they're right here, and I'd love for all of these kids, all of our local schools, to stay here. More of them anyway. Okay, so what I want people to take away from my experience, my just recent experience here, speaking to some of our high school students, a lot of them would prefer to live out their lives right here. They would, and I didn't always hear that when I went to speak to young people. And when I was 18, I didn't know if I wanted to do that. And a lot of my friends, we're kids. You got to get away from where you're from, right? Yeah, that's most kids have that weird sensation that the world's better somewhere else, when they're young. Okay, well, a lot of those kids said to me, yeah, I'd stay here. So I asked them, what do you want that we don't have? What do you like that we do have? And they were forthcoming. It was great. They were great. Young people love Chipotle and Chick-fil-A. It's amazing. It's amazing. It doesn't matter if we went to Baltimore right now. They're going to go get me a Chipotle and a Chick-fil-A. It's amazing. The two brands that have won over the youth of America. And when Phil and I were in high school, it was Chi-Chi's.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Kids, take Dad's car and sneak to Madison, try to get the Chi-Chi's, get back before he gets home from work. Yeah, it was a tradition. Now they're going to Chick-fil-A. But those kids were great. And they wanted to know, they were eager to learn about how city government works, because honestly a lot of them don't know. And they want to know. And I think that's critical, because the process is the process. It's the one we want. I don't want to do what China does, thanks. The election process and the representatives coming from the people, where local people run and the locals choose them. I love that about what our country does. Okay, so how do you get involved? And we had some great conversations. Do you run for office someday? And if you do, what office? And how do you do it? Well, yeah, when it's time, you come down to the city clerk's office and you pull nomination papers. That's what you do. And you go get signatures from around your district or the city, or the county, whatever you're running for, a school board, whatever it is. And get those turned in, and you campaign. It's as grassroots as it can be in a small town. Knock on doors, man. Say hi. That still works in small communities, and I hope it always does. Okay, so they were great about that. How to maybe tell somebody I'd like to be on a committee. Or you know what? Here's the thing. If you have what you think is a great idea, you know what you should do with that? You should talk to an older person or the mayor and say, I think I have a great idea. And I mean talk to them. Don't mess around with social media. It's garbage. At this point, what was once great in social media, I've lost all but 100% of faith in. It's just a place for people to complain and then tell each other how right they are and wrong they are. Okay, so that's not it. Get a hold of your older person. Get a hold of your county board rep. Get a hold of the school board. Talk to an administrator. Talk to the mayor, county board chair. I think I got a great idea, because those are the people that can enact those ideas. Okay, it's not why don't they do it. It's, hey, Todd, can I have a minute? Yeah, what time can you come down? Okay, Tuesday night at 8, I'll be there. I think I got a great idea. I'd love to hear it. What is it? And because then we can work through, if it's feasible, how to get it done. If you don't feel a political bone in your body, you might still have a great idea. You don't have to be the one to stand there and present to the city council. If you can communicate it to me, or you can communicate it to an older person, we'll take it and give you credit. Then I'll give you all the credit you want. But you don't have to learn how to do everything. We just want to know what our people are thinking, and if somebody has a great idea, well, we're going to want it. So come on down, right? And the kids soak that right up. But that's true. I don't care if you're 94 years old, it's still true. If you don't want to run for office, how about Lions Club, Kiwanis Club, on down the list, the Rotary, on down the line. Let's make sure kids have 4-H, whatever. Love where you're from and keep it the way you know what? If people want to hold on to, there's always this balance. I want to hold on to the traditions of the place I'm from, but why don't we ever change? How come we don't have a Chipotle? Well, yeah, it's a balance, guys. You want the flavor, the feel of your community to be there, right? But you can't keep things the way they've always been. They won't stay that way anyway. The buildings will get old, the people will get old. Some business will close down because people retired or sold out. And if you didn't go for anything new, what you have are empty buildings, old people, and old buildings. Wrong. So you have to go both ways. You have to say, save this, but go get that. Okay, that takes multiple voices. That takes, somebody my parents' age saying, this is what matters to me about the place I've always lived. And it takes people in high school saying, yeah, I know, but this is what I want. And who needs to hear it? The elected officials need to hear it. Social media doesn't care. Social media doesn't love you. It's not from here. It's not invested in your community. It doesn't care. The people that are elected here by the people who live here, they're the ones who care. Tell them, don't email it, don't send smoke signals, speak to them and tell them what you want.
Yeah, well said. And it's interesting to hear that input from the young people as well. I think that, who knows, it may not be that wacky of an idea, right?
No, it could be a great idea, and it could come from anybody in town, right? It could come from anybody in town. And I love that. Some have. And I love that. It's part of the reason I got it. Well, it is the reason I got involved in local politics. I wasn't trying to get involved in local politics when it started. The first thing, I moved back here 9 years ago, and the first thing that caught my attention, which was about 2017? Yeah, in the spring of 2017, so I've been back a year. ATVs on the roads, UTVs on the roads. I saw what was going on in Darlington, Monroe, Mineral Point, Mauston, Reedsburg. There weren't many more. I think maybe Elroy had just opened up, and maybe Kendall, maybe. Not many. Most of this area was still closed off, but the state had made it legal if local governments wanted it. So I went down to those times, went to Darlington and Mineral Point and Monroe. I wasn't an elected official. I just was a guy who wanted to know. So I went down there and I talked to the police and the business owners, and I wanted people who hated it. I wanted the whole picture. Because if I'm going to recommend it for my hometown, I want to know what I'm bringing. And I did. And I thought, wow. Especially Darlington. Wow. Man, did they build a business around that. The whole community. There's businesses that exist because of it. Mom and pop cafes and bed and breakfast and all this stuff that are owned by local people down there that are earning their living because they made this choice. And I went, whoa. So then I went over to Reedsburg, and they just had a posted route through the town, but they did. And then I called up to, I think it was Mauston. Might have been Sparta, I'm sorry. And I talked to them on the phone. I didn't drive up. And they just had a posted road through the town. And I wanted to know, the people who didn't like it, they thought there'd be all kinds of tickets written and drunk people and all of this hubbub. And the police said, no, you write a few tickets a year to the same guy that was doing the same thing in his pickup truck before he bought his UTV. And the businesses said, man, some of them said, take this away, and I shut down. Okay? And the people who didn't like it had said things like, I just didn't want the change, I thought they'd be too loud, whatever. But you know what, I can see that it's helped the town. So I brought it back here with real enthusiasm, and it took a year because the people involved that were elected at the time and serving in committees, and the police chief we had then, I'm sorry, excuse me, they really didn't have a grasp. It was just something they'd not thought about. Why would you want to ride off-road machines on the roads? Well, because you can get more places. That's the whole reason why. And then use them more and get out and enjoy this beautiful part of the state. And it took a year, and it was frustrating because at first I got a lot of no, no, no. And then slowly, as more economic impact data came back, as I was able to bring it to them, maybe, yes. And I knew once we did it, it would never go back because I knew the impact would be positive even if it took a little while. And it has been positive. And look around. Since we did it, I don't know, Muscadet, Boscoville, Fenimore, Prairie du Chien, Platteville, Wisconsin Dells, Lake Delton, Cross Plains, Mason-Maney. You want me to keep going? Dodgeville, okay? On and on and on and on. Baraboo, Reedsburg, Toma, all over the place. I can get you from here to Prairie du Chien, and if you want to, I can get you from here to Cassville, where you can take a ferry across into Iowa legally on an off-road machine. And all of that was because I went to a handful of towns that had done it and asked them about it. I just asked them. because I didn't know if it was a good idea. And then I believed in it, and I brought it back. And the point is, I was not an elected official when I did it. I just thought it was a good enough idea to explore. And then when I got some information, I knew it was a good enough idea to explore, and I fought for it. And I went and met the mayor in his pharmacy, and I went and met the police chief and took him for a ride with me, and I went and talked to the safety committee multiple times, and then we started to involve, the Dayton Ridge Runners Club was great. They got involved, they were great. Kevin and Carrie, thanks for the work you did in the townships, you were amazing. And on down the list, some local business owners said, well, yeah, that might be a good idea. And that's just an example. It's an example. You could want something completely different than that could work well here. Bring it to us, right? Bring it to us. Don't go online with it. Don't go around telling people, well, I wish someone would talk to me. We can't if you don't come down and see us. Please do.
How do you know, right? Rites of Spring, you've got, and summer, the WRCO's open, and then of course the Aquatic Center is going to be open in what, a week?
Yeah, you were just a few days away
Yeah.
on the Aquatic Center now, and I see the lines at the WRCO and I smile. This is tradition here, isn't it? I mean, going back, I don't know about today, I just don't know, but back when I was a kid, there were some school bus drivers that would stop there on the last day of school at the WRCO and let the kids all get something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love, how small town is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that. So congrats to anyone that has been involved in sort of reopening for the summer months in a lot of things. And I mentioned the farmers market already, but I see that's being very well attended, and just a lot of things. And then just a much different tone. This is not necessarily celebratory, but I want to commend everyone who was involved in our Memorial Day observance and the parade that we just had. Very well run and well organized, and it's such an emotional thing to remember why we're there, which I will encourage everyone to always do. I don't care at all if you use the extra day when you don't work, the Memorial Day holiday. I don't care if you go camping, if you cook out, if you do whatever you do. I don't. I have a great time. But remember why you can. What the point of the holiday is to acknowledge the ultimate sacrifice made by so many through the generations in our nation's history, fighting for the ideals of our country, for the belief that a government of our nature should exist and can thrive, and that the opportunities that you can get for all of the flaws our country has, and we all know we have them. Watch the news for 5 minutes. But it's still the best country in the world. It's still filled with tremendous opportunities. You don't believe me? Go talk to the guys that bought an old worn out country kitchen and turned it into the Richland family restaurant. You want to see some entrepreneurs? Check it out. Nobody handed them anything, guys. It still can be done. It still can be done. And one of the very, very key reasons it still can be done is because men and women who live here sign up and serve. And some of them gave all they had, literally. And so please, when we get to Memorial Day every year, okay, you had a good time Friday night and Saturday and Sunday. That's great. But on Monday, show up in the cemetery. Say thank you. Put your head down a little bit. And when they talk about Gold Star families, if you don't know what that means, it means they lost someone in service. One of the kids didn't come back. When they say that, hear that, and know what it means, and understand. Give yourself 2 minutes to consider if that was your household and your family. And so on Monday, it's not for the grill, and it's not for the boat, and it's not for the case of beer. It's for the people who gave us everything they had so that we could do those things.
Yep. Well said. Mayor Todd, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. As always, thanks for having me on.
We'll see you next month, and at that time we'll be just past Thunderfest and the rodeo and all the great things going on in June.
We will be, and then we'll be looking forward to July, right in the middle of the summer. So everybody get out, enjoy what you do in the summer, be safe out there, and thanks again, Phil, for having me down here.
You bet. We'll have more tomorrow on The Morning Show.
For tuning in, we hope you'll come back next week and every week to see what's going on around Richland Center.